We are concerned about our 8-year-old child's health and don't believe taking her to a medical doctor with our concerns. Okay, let's see. She was born via C-section and delayed vaccinated until she was about 3, unfortunately. You know, here we go. Strap yourselves in, guys. This ought to be good. Oh, God. Brought it just in case. She had a dairy allergy. Well, to be honest with you, almost everybody has a friggin' dairy allergy. Dairy isn't good for anybody. All right, you got mother's milk. All right, milk from mama. But again, always look at life in health from 2 vantage points. I'm either looking from the base side of chemistry or I'm looking from the acid side of chemistry, or maybe I'll pull back and look at each one of them and see that interaction. But mother's milk cannot be acidic. Excuse me. We're learning at the cell wall now. We're learning how the permeability of the cell wall is what they think it is. But you notice the negative charge of the inner membrane wall and all. You cannot maintain an acid energetic control of anything and make it sustainable, because it's cationic when that happens. That's why those phospholipid heads has this affiliation for water. And you just wonder, the more you see proteins attracted to those heads, perhaps the more you see edema. Perhaps it's not what they think they're seeing. Perhaps. I'm just saying. Just keep all that in mind when you're going through these classes. And a little old me, I'm going to be the little Scrooge in the background going, no, not really. I love that. I love all that. So much fun. She is a blast. And what more fun to have fun learning about the body and A&P and all this with someone like Pat and us. It's fun stuff. Some of it might be a little over the head. Who cares? I mean, you don't use it. I don't use any of that. Do I ever use a centimere? No. I know what they are, but do I ever? No. Yeah, you know, your centimeters might be off. Why? Well, you know, you build up acids and mucus around, and then you and the threads are pulled, but that's the interference of the flow. I mean, you can get into all kinds of what interferes with any methylation or anything like that. What interferes with anything of a natural process that the body's going through. So, I mean, you could come up with a lot of things like the lad said before. The mind, emotions can interfere with things. You know, sometimes if you get real upset, you shut off digestion, and then you get, you know, burping and belching because nothing's digesting anymore and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. Well, having a dairy allergy and then consuming dairy products, you know, and so enter this plastic world we have created called allopathy and medical science. So now that whole ridiculous bunch of crap, you've got Ensure, Pedisure, take a look at that on TV, right? I've had so many cases, and they're very mucus forming. So they've got basically 18 to 20 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. So it obviously makes the drink extremely acidic, obviously, right? Because you're a nitrogen dominant substance, you're an acidic dominant substance, which mother's milk is not acidic, or poor ladies are going to lose their mammograms, glands. You're going to lose a lot being acidic, because anything around the cell is acidic. That's why you have the protection. Someone's asking about HDL, high density phospholipids. So she was talking about how one carries one out. No, cholesterols are the protecting lipid of the body. No question about it. You have a high density lipid and a low density lipid. And the density of something means the chemical makeup of something, right? So if you have something just cramped, but the difference between, let's say, mountain water and distilled water. Yeah, mountain water would be full of chemistry, minerals and stuff, and then you'd be looking at the pH of what, depending on what minerals, depending on all that, what that pH would then end up being. Same thing with distilled water, which has a normal pH of 7 or slightly below. But remember, if you check pH in plastic, taste it. You'll taste the plastic. So the pH has been changed because of the plastic absorption. Oh, what is it, PPTs or whatever it is? So that caused her hives and swelling. Of course it did. And that was identified at age 1. So this poor little girl was lymphatically compromised majorly before, because you have to be dairy compromised initially, you have to have a serious lymphatic congestion. So this little girl, I can tell you right off, we're going down a history here of serious lymphatic problems. Oh, after having a soy and milk intolerance, yeah, well, see, that's the other problem. That's why I'm so close to our formula, our baby infant formula, guys. They're supposed to be sending me my next change. We're within a few, and you're going to have something without freaking soy and the crap like that. You know, soy products, that's estrogenic. That's crap. No, even my grandfather, my father, Farmers for Life, didn't have anything good to say about the soybean. Nothing. Crap bean. But they could sell it, make money. Although she was mostly nursed until age 1. But again, was your milk acidic? That's why these pH papers are very important to determine, because, ooh, look at this. This is where the necrotic bone and tissue started coming out of that toe on its own. Sorry, just thought. As an infant, she had a chronic ear infection. So a chronic ear infection means that you have heavy inflammation there, right? You have pressure and everything else. Where does that come from? Mucus, right? So what do is give you a friggin' antibiotic. Wouldn't it be nice to pour some bacteria in there to eat up that mucus? It tries. As an infant, she had an ear infection that would not go away, so she was on antibiotics for a long time. She then developed C. diff before they finally put tubes in her ears. Those guys. Yeah, how many kids go down that road? Here we go down the tubes in the ears, the tubes in the ears, the tubes in the ears. The freaking... so we know her gut is probably still not right. She was on the failure to thrive cusp for most of her infant and toddler life. Isn't that sad? Yeah, and we rebuild these kids so easy like that. Isn't that sad? Jeez. But she was developing and learning normally. Oh, good. So we were not really concerned. She is still very thin, okay, so we have malabsorption. But when you see lymphatic problems, you're going to know immediately cell wall. I mean, interstitially, right? Anytime you have mucus, where's it at? All right, interstitial. Well, that begs you. You get all this mucus building up around a cell. How do you get goodies into the cell? How do you get nutrition or energy into a cell? But also then, how do you get rid of the waste? You're getting agglomerated around those tissues of the lungs and sinus and voice box. I know. Arnold Ehret. Matter of fact, isn't Arnold Ehret having a huge expo in Ohio, July 31st? Yep. Yeah, I'm not driving up, but I guess they're going to put me on Zoom or something. Arnold Ehret, that's, oh man, I'm excited about this one. If I had to do any expos or anything, Arnold Ehret's one I would love, because I'm a fruitarian thinker, and I knew Arnold Ehret, that whole thing of his, and I just love that. So I'm excited to talk to a bunch of fruitarian thinkers. It's exciting. July 31st, Ohio, somewhere in Ohio. She is still very thin, but continues to get taller. Just not wider. She's about 49 inches and weighs 45 pounds. We don't eat animal products, and we are trying get her to eat more fruit. She loves veggies. Oh, well, you know. Make sure you give her like the superfood complex. where you got your fruit in it and your vegetables. They sell those fruit and vegetable capsules. I sell them too, but we're going to back out of them because a lot of companies sell them and they're expensive. They really rake me to buy these fruit blends and these veggie blends. They rake me. But remember alfalfa juice and stuff like that. But you want the fruit to develop her brain and nervous system. Vegetables are not good at that. Fruits are the top at building her brain and nervous system, and that's the most important right now. So get her on some delicious fruits if you have to somehow. She has always had problems sleeping. Well, you also use the word tall. And now she's using the word sleep. Come on, guys, help me. Come on, what are you thinking? Well, the first thing I'm thinking, she used the word tall. Where are we going? Pituitary, right? What's next door? Pineal. What's that? Sleep. And most of those, we've been over this a lot, that generally where one's down, the other one is too. So we might have a case like that. Well, but then it would fit because that is this section of the transverse colon. All right? So whenever you see pituitary pineal problems, you have the center of this transverse down. Almost always have this down. And I'm telling you what else you have down. Flexors. Prolapsed. Why? Parathyroid down. If the pituitary's down, you can count on the parathyroid being a little bit sit on. So then you can count on what? Connective tissue problems because you haven't been metabolizing or utilizing calcium properly. And you could have good parathyroids, but just have a pituitary down. So, I mean, there's just, all these words spark thoughts in my mind, and I want you guys to be thinking of the same way, because this is how you assess your client. Because I can't see her, I can't have eyes or anything on you. You guys are describing yourselves, and it's through your description that I can go, oh, right? So, it's a hard time sleeping. Well, you don't want to take melatonin. Remember, that's a hormone. You want to take a pineal glandular, even at a young age, even if it's just a piece of one. Constant dark circles under the eyes. Well, you know she has kidneys. To have the lymphatics like this, what do you have to have down to have the lymphatics like this? Kidneys are dark circles and bags. Dark circles and bags. And you ever see Life Below Zero? It's a Morse family, except spelled M-O-R-R-I-S. He's got the darkest damn circles around his eyes I've ever seen. I'm just waiting for him to croak with kidney failure. His wife looks a lot younger, but she doesn't. They had to leave on the last series because they couldn't survive out there with killing meat and that. They couldn't do it. So they're back again, let's see. But you got to kill meat to eat. Oh, I mean, that's nasty as hell. All right, so she has always had problems sleeping, chronically constipated. Okay, so chronically constipated. Well, number one, anything that's dairy, any cheese, anything like that. Of course, she's obviously not eating that. So if you're not eating anything like, excuse me, you're bringing it out of me. So if she's eating vegetables, they're a little more constipating than fruit, no question about it. But what could be the problemo? They're alive, I'm sure. They're not cooked, I'm pretty sure. The mother's pretty health conscious here. So there's energy there to kind of start up peristalsis. But where's the main energy of peristalsis come from? Which nervous system are we talking about? You got two. Central, CNS, and the worker bee, autonomic, sympathetic, parasympathetic, autonomic, automatic. It works without you thinking about it, right? Unless you suppress it. And when you suppress it, you start having anxieties because it affects your breathing. Because it's how you breathe. Parasympathetic, sympathetic, push, pull, right? But it's also peristalsis and it's also heart. Energy, running, talking, autonomic. So you know that she's got kidney and adrenals down. You know that for sure, just how bad. Well, she's a young woman, young girl. So you know that probably pretty bad. And especially the mother's identifying her pretty right on here. probably, we're looking at a very chronic young girl. But let's pull her out of that. Let's get her invigorated. Let's get her as much fruit as possible. Keep moving her toward that direction. Get her invigorated a little bit. Use a bowel form if you have to. You don't want her to be constipated. You want her to be happy with life. So if you have to use a number 3, use a number 3 on her. But find some way. Put it in applesauce, something like that. Is she 3 right now? No, I don't know how old she is now. She says something about vaccination at 3. She gets plenty of calories. I don't give a shit about calories. Fiber, I don't give a crap about that. And we push liquids. But she needs something more. We have been supplementing with magnesium for years. All right, so you Europeans, you got to quit the magnesiums, okay? Okay, so chemistry. Here's a little chemistry lesson for you. All right, so chemistry is all family members. They're all related. They're all, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, distant cousins. Arsenic's a distant cousin way down the road there. And some of chemistry is, the most dominant in nature. Like your elementals, when you go through your, 74, 75 elementals, you can tell which ones are more dominant in forwardness and how much is trace and microtrace elements. Matter of fact, let's see if I can talk Pat in a periodic table class for kids and all of us, where we can get into showing you the noble gases, the metals, the non-metals, and all of that. And don't be intimidated with chemistry, because by the time your children get into chemistry, some people just literally freak out. And I mean, I don't know, you chemistry teachers out there probably know that, but the kids are like, don't make it that way. Start out earlier with acid-base. Start out with what your parents are. You guys are, I'm so proud of you guys, because the baby's coming through, and those babies are going to know food. They're going to know acid and base. They're going to know chemistry. So by the time they get into high school and they're taking chemistry, I already know that. What you got next? Yeah, I'm telling you, guys are going to bring up a smart bunch of people. Smart bunch of humans. They keep them that long. But, where was I? So anyway, on this one, I'm going to be at least circulation in brain and nerve formulas for this young girl. Because if she's been inoculated, which there's signals that she has been, you got neurotoxic effects here, all kinds of things here. And this is the problem. You've got a young girl here born with a lot of health compromising, serious kidney genetics, serious lymphatic stagnation from that, obviously, malabsorption, some pituitary pineal gland problems. That's serious because pituitary controls literally all the other endocrine glands. And so you've got a lot of problems in a little one like this that has to be worked out of them. Well, you can't treat this one the same as you do, say, a much more healthier one that came out of better gene pools. Kids are all at different levels. I would here, I'd give you the same herbs, the same diet, and everything else, but, you're going to be working on one like this one. Now, magnesium. Magnesium has a twin. Who's the twin? Now, magnesium. Is magnesium an electrolyte? Is that magnesium an alkaline metal, or is it an acid? That's an alkali, right? Okay, good. Now, what's the twin sister? The sister, I'm going to call the girls the alkalis and the guys the acids. I'm just going to do that. All right, so it's got a twin sister. Who's the twin sister? Calcium. Right. Now, there's a little brother involved in around the body a lot with those two. There's a lot. This little brother, of course, he's a male, and he's an acid principle. But without him, nothing would be, you would have bone or anything. You give you a little hint? And that one's a little on the nitrogen side. Phosphorus. So phosphorus needs the sisters to bind, particularly the one sister, to bind to create matrix, to make bone appear hard, so you have some strength. Same with connective tissue. When you put so much magnesium in the body, it's a good antispasmodic. People take it so they move their bowels, but it pushes out calcium. You take you only have, let's say my room in here I'm filming you in is literally cram full of chemistry. So when I open that door to come in here, some chemistry has to go out because this chemical body's walking through a world of chemistry. So my physical presence is bringing a big round of all types of chemistry into this room already loaded with chemistry. So chemistry has to go out that door for my chemistry to come in the door. We could get into some arguments about the shapeshifters, of course, but supposedly not two physical forms of matter can occupy the same space. But some of you are beginning to see beings that can occupy the same space. All I'm saying is that forget this magnesium. Go use a bowel formula, not a laxative. Go want to get number 3 maybe. But start kicking up her nervous system. And how are you going to kick up her nervous system? Brain and nerve, and where you're going to go. Where does the neurotransmitters come? Neurotransmitters, transmitting neurological functions. Neurotransmitters, where do you come from? Adrenal glands, and where do your adrenal glands sit? Right on top of your kidney. She's got black circles under her eyes. She's got serious kidney problems, which gives her serious lymphatic. See the connection? When you start looking at all your cases, you will see the kidneys and the lymph, and the kidneys and the lymph, and the kidneys and the lymph. And where there's the kidneys and the lymph, there's also kidneys and the adrenal glands and the lymph. Now with this girl, we're going to go kidneys and adrenal glands, pituitary too. We're also going to say thyroid and parathyroid and probably skin too. Just saying. Our biggest concern, but at this point she was on a Miralax. Our biggest concern, you got to get her on the herbs. The herbs are the supreme. Our biggest concern at this time is that she is starting to have hyperactivity, anxiety, emotional lability, and obsessive behavior, which we cannot identify a cause of, such as trauma. Irritation of acidosis. I mean, your child is obviously one big acid, full of mucus and stuff. How could you be happy with that? Irritation everywhere neurologically. Cool her down. You guys have been on the fruit and know what you expect, right? Fruit just relaxes you down. And yet, they have the highest energy of all the food on the planet. Wait a minute, this isn't stimulative acidic energy. No, this is dynamic cellular energy, ATP. What about ADP and AMP? They don't talk much about those either. And I was so glad she was, because I was getting ready to go, what about the M and yeah. Not just tri, you got mono and di. Seems like you have mono and di everywhere you find the tri. So let's go on, MC2, all right, and don't believe taking her to a medical doctor will quell our concerns. She was born let's see here. She didn't, excuse me. While researching the behavior changes, I came across PANS, pandas, which seem to possibly explain some of the issues. Really? Are you familiar? Nope, not. And how? And to naturally treat or any suggestion on how to help our sweet girl. Number 1, put her on a fruit diet. Get her on a fruit diet and get her on now. If she doesn't like it, get her on more vegetable juices, but you got to get the fruit in on her. She's going to be craving probably sodium or something. I mean, I don't know how low her adrenal function is, but if she has black eyes that circles around her eyes at a young age, that's not good. And then her lymphatic system's a you-know-what-house mess, because obviously with the pressure in the head and everything, so here comes sinus pressure and everything else. Then she's got a pituitary pineal down. Resting will disturb her whole consciousness, and then the pituitary, she can grow tall, she can have monthly cycles all messed up, she may not be able to conceive, or she can't carry to term. I mean, you just go on and on and on with horrible things with ladies. So they need to be fixed. And I only fix things with two things: food and botanicals. Botanicals is food in this country. So I only use food to fix things. And that's all you need. Because botanicals are veggies with an attitude. Move over, I'm here to fix the problem. Not like a pharmaceutical that says, here, let me block this action so the symptom will go away. Or why are we seeing this action? What's spurring this action to spawn this symptom? But if you don't start out with proper thinking and proper education, then you don't know. When you start out with the concept of diseases, the concept of the germ theory, you already stepped out on a plank that has nothing below you. There's nothing there, no one to help you, because none of it's factual. And then that plank just gets longer and everything's built on falsehoods. And now you got the whole world in fear of having a cold and flu-like symptom, really? Because you're going to have one someday. Get used to it, because that's what you do to get rid of mucus. This is a natural phenomenon. This is not something natural health people do. Oh, nature's the cuss word, nature's. Nature's. I love nature's. It's either nature's or pharmaceuticals.